live.
Okay. I've just shared it again on my page as well.
Have you? Okay, cool. So let me stop my alarm so that it doesn't make any funny noises. And I just want to be able to see whether or not we are genuinely live yet on the page.
Looks like we might be.
Okay, we are. We are live. I can see myself, which is, I can see both of us, which is really, really cool. Okay. So, welcome anybody who is joining us on this live. We decided to, Alison and I have known each other for quite a long time, and we decided that we would talk about a particular superpower that she is an expert in, and that we believe that everyone, whether you are in corporate or private practice or working as a coach, consultant, even just as an entrepreneur, that you will benefit tremendously from developing. And so I asked Alison to come in as my guest today. She is an industrial and organizational psychologist by training. She's also had many years of experience at top senior management level in huge, massive projects in terms of project management. So she's wonderful with juggling all the balls and keeping track of where everything is. She's really an absolute maverick, has a memory like an elephant, I can tell you. She's specialized as a coach. She has specialized in emotional intelligence and also uses assessments to underpin some of the work that she does as a coach and a development consultant. But just to kind of tell you a little bit more about our mutual background is Alan and I worked together many years ago. I won't mention how many because it will give away both of our ages. But we worked together many, many years ago at Beacon Sweets and Chocolates in Durban. And I got into a little bit of trouble with store cards, credit cards, and so on. I needed to find extra income to pay off my debts. So Al very, very kindly organized, helped me get a job at a restaurant in the famous Florida Road in Durban. And the two of us we spent about a year wandering around like these sleep-deprived idiots because we would be waking up at about 5 o'clock to get to work on time. And then we'd finish our normal working day and head off to the restaurant and only sometimes finish up at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, get about 2 or 3 hours sleep. And then it was back putting in a full day's worth of work. And I do remember those days with great fondness, but I don't know today how we actually got through them. So Al, over to you. I don't know if you've got a few words that you'd like to say to introduce yourself.
Thanks so much, Megan, and thank you for the opportunity. I'm really pleased to be able to speak to you today about one of my favorite topics. And maybe listening to that story again, maybe we had a vision into the future about the superpower that was needed in order to survive when we were sleep deprived. What do you think?
All I know was that I lived on BioPlus.
Yeah, just hang on one sec. I'm having a bit of equipment failure here. Yes, so Megan and I have known each other for a very long time, and it was actually through the power of this beautiful online space that we find ourselves in now that we reconnected. So it's been an incredible opportunity, actually, going online and seeing all the people that we can connect with, be that locally, outside of our borders, people we haven't seen or spoken to in so long. And when I get to that point in what we're going to talk about today, you'll see that your connections, your network, your resourcefulness is part of your toolkit for this superpower. And that really has been part of what's helped me and what's really supported me through the last 9 months is my network of people and that resourcefulness and being able to tap into that.
So I'm quite excited. So let's jump right in. And the first thing I'd like to ask you to do is just broadly and briefly to unpack the big topic. And I know it's difficult to do in a few sentences, but unpack the big topic of emotional intelligence. And then we know that the superpower that we're going to be talking about is one of the aspects of emotional intelligence. So once you've unpacked broadly emotional intelligence, then zoom in on that superpower and how it helps us as coaching entrepreneurs.
Yeah, fabulous. And it is a really big word, but it's not one that we need to be scared of or nervous of, even though it feels like this big word. Basically, emotional intelligence is all about your people skills. It's all about the ability to be aware of, conscious of, to notice your own emotions and the emotions of others, and to be able to make emotionally intelligent decisions, even during stressful or uncertain times. So it's about taking on board all of the information that we have at our disposal and about making those emotionally intelligent decisions based on that. In other words, it's about responding, not reacting to what's going on. So all of the principles that you share with us from a marketing perspective, being aware of our own emotions, all the neuroscience stories that you share about how our emotions help us, or how presenting our brand with an emotion behind it helps to attract a client. Those neuroscience concepts and techniques are the same in the emotional intelligence space. So how we feel about somebody or how we feel about an event determines our decisions and our behaviors. And that's really important for us to know as coaches, because how other people feel when they first experience us is going to determine their decisions and their behaviors going forward. And the superpower, so the emotional intelligence model that I've been trained in is the GENOS model. And we have 6 competencies in the model: self-awareness, awareness of others, authenticity, emotional reasoning, which is that ability to make expansive decisions, self-management, and then the 6th one is inspiring performance. And that's where we really start to see the leadership concepts coming through, is in that inspiring performance. But today I'm going to talk to you about the 5th one, which is self-management. And we talk about productive and unproductive emotions. And when we're being productive in the self-management space, we are being that superpower that I love to talk about, which is resilience. And when we're being in the unproductive space, we're being temperamental. So those are the 2 distinctions around that the part of the emotional intelligence model that we're going to be talking about today.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit more about resilience. And I know that you have a program that you have designed to help people develop, specifically to help people develop their resilience. And maybe later you can just share with everybody where they can get more information and details on that. Yeah. But having done all this work in the space and area of resilience, tell us a little bit more about unpack it for us.
Sure. The first thing to know is that resilience is so much more common than you actually think. So a lot of people will think, well, resilience is something I need to go and get, or resilience is something that I need to, it's going to be something difficult for me to learn how to do. We are all already resilient. So resilience is the ability, a lot of people talk about the ability to bounce back from adversity or hardships. It's about the ability to adapt during uncertainty, to adapt to difficult situations. Most importantly, the distinction of the definition that I work on a lot is that resilience is about being able to move forward, but importantly, it's about moving forward with a new mindset. And this is important because a lot of the time when we're faced with hardships, challenges, adversity, we have very little control over the situation. So the aspect that we have to work on to become more agile around, to adapt, is our mindset. So resilience is letting go of any judgments, letting go of any perceived perceptions, letting go of any of those strong emotions. It's about adapting to the situations, and most importantly, it's about moving forward. And we would all demonstrate resilience on a day-to-day basis already. It's about boosting that and developing it so that we can face the bigger, more challenging situations.
And I think what you said just is so perfect for the people who come to me as clients are generally sales and marketing averse and have fears around how they're going to be perceived, around their how they're going to be judged out there, what people are going to think of them, you know, and also if they do kind of not fail, but if you do something wrong, how do you pick yourself up and come back from that? And you used a phrase about resilience is moving forward with a new mindset. And one of the biggest areas that in my 12-week program that I'm starting to realize that I really, really need to focus on is helping people to develop new and different mindsets around doing something that they are ordinarily averse to doing. So can you talk a little bit more about resilience and in a sales and marketing averse type situation?
Well, resilience is an amazing skill to develop in the sales and marketing space, because what are you doing in sales and marketing? You are having to get out there and you're having to market, just especially for those of us who are in the service-based industry, because we are our products, not so. So we are marketing ourselves. Resilience, it gives you that awareness of your own emotions in the moment so that you can hold yourself in check, so that before you go into a meeting or even get on a Zoom call with somebody, you've already got that awareness of what is your state right now? How are you showing up? And I work with my clients to help them to understand how to move in a heartbeat into a more productive, empowering state. So we work on your self-talk. We work on what are the things that you're doing to put yourself in a good state physically and mentally. It's all about your energy. It's all about what you're bringing to that experience. And importantly, when we've got that awareness of self and we are feeling grounded and we've done the inner work, we are in a better place to be able to perceive and understand where our potential client is coming from. When we show up and we're more concerned about self and we're less concerned with other people, we are going to be only worrying about, how do I look? Do I sound okay? And maybe I'm being too aggressive, or maybe I shouldn't have said that, or I wonder if he's getting me. Is he even listening? I mean, if I'm doing that, I'm not even paying attention or being present in the meeting. So we work very much on that self-awareness to allow you to show up in the best possible way in that session.
So excuse me.
And again,
sorry, I was just going to say, excuse me for not looking at you directly, but I just wanted to double check that we were still live on Facebook. My phone had gone dead. So sorry for interrupting.
No, I thought you might be doing that. Yeah. So, and then again, when we've done the inner work And as coaches, that's really important, because like even now, you're not looking at me, that could trigger something in me if I didn't already know you. If it was our first experience together, I'd be going, okay, why is she not looking at me? Why is she? And that is setting off a whole myriad of processes, of triggers, of emotional cues. We must remember that the brain is there for our survival. So I'm triggered, I'm going into that threat response. I'm not listening, I'm not taking on board information anymore. And you talk about it all the time. A confused brain will always say no. So I'm not listening for the cues from the person in front of me. And then because I'm not doing that, I'm not able to respond in that emotionally intelligent way, which allows me to respond from a series of expansive emotions and expansive reasoning. So that's why it's really important for us as coaches, especially in that sales and marketing space, is to do the inner work so that we can show up in our best state and show up in a way that we're not influencing the experience in any other way other than in a productive and positive way.
So why would we've called resilience a superpower? And you have spoken wonderfully about the impact that it has in a sales and marketing kind of. Oh, Sherbet, no. Sorry.
I recognize that voice.
I'll stop fiddling with my phone, trying to chew gum across the street at the same time. So, I just wanted to make sure that we were still live on the phone. But as in more broadly, as entrepreneurs, consultants, and even in the corporate space, we've called resilience a superpower. Just talk about that a little bit more.
So it really is, I would say it's almost an essential superpower that we've seen in 2020. Some of the things that we need to do now to be able to navigate uncertainty, and uncertainty is guaranteed. We know that we might be able to predict with slight accuracy what may or may not happen, but hasn't 2020 just shown us that we can try and predict, but we also need to be prepared for that uncertainty. So what resilience allows you to do when you come from that resilient mindset, remember, resilience is it's not a tangible something that you're just going to go and get and you've got it, you've gone and grabbed it, now you've got it. Resilience is something we constantly develop. Resilience is something we are constantly working on. They say resilience is not a destination, it's a mindset. It's a way of life. And what resilience as a mindset allows you to do is it allows you to get comfortable with failing. So I say we fail forward. So a resilient person with a resilient mindset is comfortable with the no's, is comfortable with the not yet, is comfortable with the let me get back to you. And we've got our strategies for dealing with those. But we also, more importantly, have those wellness habits, mental wellness habits that allow us to learn from those experiences. So resilience for me, it's a superpower because it's almost like you're creating this constant improvement process for yourself as an individual, because you're willing to try, you're willing to start, you're willing to show up, and you are comfortable with not always getting it right, because you know that bouncing back, adapting, and moving forward is just part of the process of the work that we do, especially when it comes to things like sales and marketing and putting ourselves out there.
It strikes me that so much of what you've spoken about when you talk about resilience and having come from a project management background, so much of what you've spoken about actually applies to managing projects. And as entrepreneurs, as coaching entrepreneurs, we are managing micro projects all of the time. And so developing resilience as a tool is really, really important. And I loved the phrase that you use about fail forward. So learning from our mistakes, picking up and doing better the next time.
And that learning from your mistakes is such a it is one of the cornerstones of project management. We call them lessons learned reviews. And anyone who understands project management or being in a delivery space will know that having regular lessons learned reviews is part of the success of your project. The other part of the success of your project, most projects fail because they fail to get the people elements of projects right. So again, there's another lesson in there for us. If we approach our business as a lot of different assignments or projects that we're working on, including sales and marketing, then we have to get the people element of it right. And that is building rapport with potential clients. That is understanding and being able to read the emotions in the room so that we respond appropriately to the person that we are on a call with, on a Zoom with, or even meeting in person. And yeah, that ability to be curious enough to ask the questions about how could I do this differently next time so that I get a more productive outcome. That for me is, I mean, I think sometimes my curiosity gets me into trouble because I do, I say affectionately in a joking way that I think I would have made a really good CSI agent if I hadn't gone into psychology, because I love asking questions. But I say to my clients and people that I work with that the ability to ask empowering and thoughtful, meaningful questions is a really good skill to learn. And that is one of the skills that we work on when I work in the resilience space, that ability to be able to ask for feedback, seek guidance, and also do the inner reflection to be able to understand, okay, so today wasn't such a great day. What was it that wasn't so great? How could I do it differently tomorrow? Let's move forward with that new mindset. Yeah.
It's so interesting that you focus on reviewing the work that you've done and reviewing how you could have done things better, because one of the hallmarks of the great coaches that I have had the pleasure to either work with or to meet is all of them have a practice of reflective reflection and reflective journaling that they do on a regular basis. So they'll do a post coaching session reflection on how did it go, what could have gone better, what did I notice, what triggered me, what do I need to do differently next time, and you start to build up this body of evidence that you can actually refer back to in order to really kind of move yourself forward professionally and build your overall confidence in your ability to work. And if you've got that inner confidence and self-esteem, then half the battle is won when it comes to actually putting yourself out there in marketing and selling yourself.
So that's wonderful. There's two things there that you've mentioned, Megan, that I'd just like to respond to. So the first one is that they've got that practice and they diligently do it after every coaching session. And I'm very grateful that I was trained as a psychologist, because it was part of our training that after every session, you don't go straight into the next session. You always have a buffer, and you use that buffer not to go and have a walk around the block or grab a cup of tea. You use that buffer time to really clear your mind of what's just gone on in the session you've just completed before you meet your next client, so that you meet your next client having cleared your mind and you can show up in that neutral space, not carrying any of the baggage from the previous session. And that And you'll know from the resilience work that you've done with me already in my 5-day challenge, is the first habit of resilience, which is self-discipline. So resilient people are prepared to make the time and the energy available to do what is required to build these competencies and skills. So yes, we should all be doing that after every client session, after every training session, maybe even after this live session. You and I should do 10 minutes and just say, how could we do it differently next time? There's always opportunities and lessons to be learned. And then the second thing that I wanted to just mention from what you were saying there about, that coaches have got that resilience practice is, again, it's about asking those questions of ourselves and building up that knowledge. And what it allows us to do, because we've got that confidence based on this, as you say, this book of evidence that we've created for ourselves, we can show up confidently, but not in an arrogant or egotistical way. We can show up confidently in a very grounded, very balanced way. And we know that emotions are contagious. So when we show up in a grounded, balanced way, we hold the space and we open the space for our clients and potentially our prospects, our potential clients to show up in the same way. So you it's almost like it's win-win really, but you've got to do that inner work first. That self-discipline to do the inner work is your step number one.
And when I was last year, when I was doing a postgrad course in management coaching at Stellenbosch University, one of the first things we were taught was Borton's reflective practice. So it started off with the first question you asked yourself was, what? So you literally write down the facts of what happened. The second question was, so what? Which gave you the opportunity to then start unpacking maybe, something had triggered you, or you'd had an emotional response to something, or you just couldn't kind of shake something that had happened in one of the lectures, whatever, or even in the practice coaching sessions that we were doing. And then the third question that we asked was, now what? So, and I made a practice actually of using the journals that we were given when we first arrived. And from day one, anything that was, if a lecturer said something and it was particularly interesting and it was something that I wanted to come back and explore a little bit more, I made a practice of noting it down. And I just had my 3 questions from Borton's, and it was absolutely invaluable when it came to being able to go back over everything that I'd learned and pulling all the various strings together into one beautiful bundle that I was able to present in my final assignment. It was a very, very valuable practice, and I've still got that same journal because they have got many, many, many pages. And I've still got that same journal next to my bed, and as I'm learning something new, watching a video, listening to a podcast, if there's something that really, really attracts my attention, similarly, I will do the whole what, so what, now what process. And
and what I love about what you've just said, and I hope that people are listening to this, because here's a top tip. If being resilient means that we are open to learning new ways, open to adapting, to trying a different way of doing the same thing, then learning needs to become something that we love, enjoy, and it's a habit. And if we understand neuroscience, we know that the best tool in your kit box for learning is this. Because when we write things down, we start creating those neural pathways to embedding the learning in our short-term memory. And then when we keep writing them down, and your technique, which is the spider diagrams, when we start creating written material that is bunched in concepts, we are actually activating that part of our brain that stimulates and gets excited about learning. So I'd like to recommend that if anybody here wants to start triggering that part of the brain that gets excited about learning, go to a stationery shop and buy yourself a fancy pen for Christmas and get writing.
Speaking of fancy pens, I was watching, Alison is currently running a 12-day challenge in her on her business page, Alison Coates Revo Consultant. And in her video yesterday, she held up a pen that was a gift from a friend, a beautiful pink pen with her name engraved on it. So yeah.
I'm a little bit of a sparkly stationery magpie, I'm afraid. But that's what activates joy for me. So I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm just going to carry on.
And we all need a little bit of joy all the time.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely.
Well, thank you so much. I don't know if you've got any closing comments that you'd like to make.
So I think, obviously people are going to watch and replay. If they are watching and replay, and if anything triggers a thought or a question, I think let's encourage people to put them in the comments, and I will see the comments. If they tag me, then definitely see them. And I'm happy to get back to anyone who has questions. I don't know if you want me to say anything about the Resilience Accelerator program.
I would. And also, if you'd like to talk about your Reawaken You workshop that you are going to be running to help people prepare for 2021, and just give people your website address, all of your various places and spaces that people can get in contact with you.
Great. Thanks, Megan. So so resilience it's one of my favorite topics, and I have created, through the lockdown period, I noticed a lot of people started asking questions around how do they deal with difficult situations? What happens during uncertainty? We don't, things are so transient right now. And most of them, the skill that they're after, they're after the skill of resilience. So I've created a Resilience Accelerator program. It is an online, on-demand self-study program on the teachable.com platform, which is a wonderful platform that you can use to do your studies anytime, whenever it suits you. It's 4 modules. It takes you right from the start, from the basics of neuroscience through some of the techniques and the methodologies of resilience, all the way through to building your own resilience management plan. And it's 5 hours of educational material with a very comprehensive workbook. So you could do it in 5 or 10 hours, or you could do it in 4 weeks or 4 months. It's 4 modules. So if I'll put my the Revo Consultant Facebook page will be tagged, and people can just go and have a look there and see what it's all about. But I'm very excited about Reawaken You. So Reawaken You is perfect for the new year. And because I have that strong leaning towards the project management side of things, the management consulting side of things, it's more than just setting your goals. It's more than just creating a vision. So Reawaken You is all about refreshing your awareness, your own self-awareness, to be able to move forward into the new year with that refreshed awareness, so that you can set your own strategy for 2021. So a strategy is a working document. A strategy is something that we are constantly going back to, reviewing, reflecting on, assessing how we're doing, what should we be adapting, adjusting, so that we keep our eye on our vision for the year, but we're very flexible about how we might get there. For me, that feels like a more gentle way of approaching goals and setting your goals for the year. And I used to do it in person. It was a full 1-day in-person workshop. There's no reason why I can't still do it in person, but I'm taking it online, and it will be an online course, but with there's two options. You could do just the online, and I'm also going to be doing once a week over the 2 or 3 weeks that it runs for, when you're on it, opportunities to link with me to do some one-on-one coaching as well. So it's very flexible. It's to meet your own needs. And my clients who did it last year, I think I had close on 30 people do it last year. They absolutely loved the process of developing a strategy for themselves to work on through the year.
Well, I'm definitely in for that. I must say, I'm one of those people who likes to have flexibility and options and alternatives. And you all know that I planned my year out on one of those whiteboard wall calendars. And it was wonderful this year to be able to kind of really just shift things as and when I needed to be able to do so, and be able to respond flexibly to whatever was happening in the greater world. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be seeing you there. I just want to say before we close, welcome and to Christian Ebert, who's been watching us. I know she's in the process of moving overseas, so the fact that she's actually taken the time out to watch this video is a real privilege, and we will miss you from South Africa. And if anybody else watches this in replay, just drop replay into the comments so that we can see that you have been here. And as Alison says, she is available for anybody to kind of just tag any questions that you might have specifically for her. I have tagged her in the intro to this video, so you'll be able to find both her personal and her business profiles on Facebook. And maybe you just want to quickly give us your website address.
Oh, yes. Sorry, I just had to go on mute there because the garden services have arrived next door. So I don't know if you can hear it, but it sounds like there's, okay, great, wonderful. My website is www.revoconsultant, revoconsultant.com.
Awesome.
So that's, yes. And my email address is alison@revoconsultant.com. Great.
Well, thanks so much for doing this. It's been so much fun, and it's been so relaxing for me, like just to sit back and enjoy.
And I'm really pleased that that we set ourselves a time limit, because you know me, I can talk about this topic for many hours. So it was wonderful to be able to share my passion with whoever is on the call, on the live or watching in replay. So thank you, Meg, for the opportunity.
It's a pleasure. All right, well, I'm going to take us off live, and then the two of us are just going to have a quick chat about, we're going to do our, what did you call it? The review sessions.
Lessons learned.
Lessons learned. Thank you for watching, everyone. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day.